America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you had a great weekend, a long weekend. I'm sure avid listeners will know we did not have a show yesterday as we were observing Veterans Day, but a little late. But you know, we are happy to say that to all the veterans out there, past, present, future, thank you so much for your service. And yeah, hopefully yesterday you had a good day, and hey, many years to come. So all that being said, welcome into Computer America. So today on the program, in the second part of the show, we will be doing computer and technology news, where we have a couple of topics to touch on, including Amazon's new headquarters. It's always exciting to see, how one of the richest companies in the world is able to parlay that into these states, giving them billions of dollars in subsidies, because that's exactly what they need. So that and more here on Computer America for the news segment. But in the first part, we have our guest today, and it's a company called EnGenius Tech. And we're going to be talking about small, medium business. We're all the way up to enterprise level, as well as, just wireless connections, wireless connectivity for your office. It's going to be a very informative segment, so get ready for that. But a couple of things before we get started, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything from a link to our guest website, archives of today's show, our social media contests, our live video stream, and much more right there at our website. Go check that out. Now, I think that's about all that needs to be said. Why don't we go ahead, just jump right into this. And joining us by phone today is none other than Mr. Bryan Slayman. He is the product line manager for EnGenius Tech. And Bryan, thank you for joining us here on Computer America. Hopefully you're doing well.
Hey, Ben, thank you for having us on.
We
appreciate it.
Yeah, our pleasure. And I believe, if memory serves, this might be the first time EnGenius Tech has been on the show. So hey, why don't you give us a bit of background on the company and a bit of background on yourself? How did you find yourself working there?
Sure. So let me just talk about EnGenius first a little bit, and then we'll go into kind of my background and where I came in with EnGenius, if that's okay.
Sure.
So EnGenius, we've been in this industry as a manufacturer for over 19 years, specifically in what we call as business class network solutions. We're based out of Southern California, so we're close to Newport Beach, California. So we're in a really nice area of California, so we're lucky to have that. But EnGenius really pioneered long-range, high-powered wireless communication and radio frequency solutions, I would say in the late 1990s. We really started off with our telephony solution, which was a 900 megahertz phone. And what that 900 megahertz offered us was really long range with our telephone systems. Well, we actually took that ingredient, that long range ingredient, and we put that into the Wi-Fi world on wireless LAN products such as access points. So we have really long range Wi-Fi devices. Fast forward to today, we continue that legacy through a broad portfolio of business class networking and telephony solutions. But specifically on the network line, that's the line that I manage, includes full managed and unmanaged wireless solutions, either it be indoor solutions or outdoor solutions. We also manufacture a line of gigabit switches. So we still provide that long range with Wi-Fi. We actually put a lot of features within our access points and our switches and our management features, and they're very versatile. So they can be programmed in a number of different ways to go into different applications. And we're still one of the highest price performance ratio companies in the market. So the customer, the end user, is getting a great value with a very enterprise class type product line.
Right. No, and of course we're going to dig into your product line and how some of your technology works, a bit more as we get into this interview. But again, a bit about yourself. I mean, were you always into wireless technology, or did this just kind of fall into your lap?
Yeah. So it kind of fell into my lap. I started in the IT industry probably in '98 with just PC setups, troubleshooting, server builds. I moved into the ISP world for a little while. I worked as a field service support person, a NOC support person, and then fell into EnGenius around 2003. So I probably have about 15 years experience in the wireless industry. I started off as a field applications engineer to a sales engineer, and then now a product line manager. So my experience in Wi-Fi has been in just wireless technical trainings, the implementation of wireless, now more in product management of particular products, and the marketing of wireless products.
Perfect.
So that's been kind of my experience within this industry.
Sure. And and just speaking in those broad terms, just for a minute, talk about obviously over from the early 2000s to today, having not just kind of a subtle internet connection, but having a strong and reliable internet connection is really needed for so many parts of kind of the new technology that we're putting in. I mean, how have you seen the field kind of expand? Because you mentioned a lot of telephone systems and more. I mean, what would you say lately has been kind of the driving force behind companies like EnGenius?
I would say the biggest driving force today, and I think all vendors could say the same thing if you're serving the SMB market, the enterprise, even on more residential, is it all comes down to the capacity, the concurrent users that you can support on your devices, the bandwidth that you need to support. They're the two main things that continuously come up. And then obviously the coverage area, specifically in wireless, it's the coverage area. And one of the more important things that a lot of people don't talk about, but a lot of the wireless LAN professionals talk about, are the abilities to be able to roam around and seamlessly roam from one device to another device to another device. So that's a key component too. So I would say first and foremost, capacity, the number of devices that we have to support, then speed, and then a reliable connection at the end of the day, and then the ability to be able to roam around within a building or within a home or within a stadium for that matter.
Right, yeah. Not many people are tied to their desktop anymore or just their desk.
Yeah.
They definitely, take it on the go. And one of the technologies that we've seen here, and I'm going to refer to it as 802.11ax, but I'm sure that you've heard the powers that be want people to refer to this, I think, as Wi-Fi 6. So obviously there's going to be some pain in adapting there, but you mentioned concurrent devices. So talk about 802.11ax. Let's assume no one really knows what this is because, hey, it's just now making it onto store shelves. Talk about AX, what problems does it solve, and how this can benefit, obviously, these projects that you're working on.
Sure. So 11ax is really, as you said, Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax technology. What we've seen so far is it builds upon real-world deployments of 11ac, but with higher efficiency and dense wireless client environments. So we're seeing more and more IoT devices being deployed, more and more devices per person being used. I think when we would design Wi-Fi networks, we would calculate in, okay, each user has 2.5 devices. Now we're talking about 4 and 5 devices per user. And so the number of devices within a network, I don't care if you're talking about a residential space, a small business, a medium-sized business, a enterprise space, has just dramatically increased. And so that's where 11ax really takes off, or is supposed to take off, and build in the higher efficiency of Wi-Fi just in general. There's multiple features of 11ax that will help us with that. such as OFDMA. OFDMA is probably the most talked about feature within 11AX, and I can't go into super granular how it works, but at a high level, it really enables more efficient channel use. It reduces latency latency the AP and the client devices themselves, and it provides, as all Wi-Fi has done in the past, provides backwards compatibility with 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Specifically, 11AC operated on 5 gigahertz alone. That's where the advancements were. With 11AX, you're getting advancements on 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and that's where OFDMA really plays a big part of.
Right, and let's see if I get this right. A quick Google search: orthogonal frequency division and multiple access, for all of you people who didn't know that off the top of your heads like I didn't. But yeah, and there's some some very cool diagrams that people can check out. But it essentially looks like it just organizes the signal so that you can kind of get more usage out of the same bandwidth. So it's perfect. So obviously we see advancements like this. Luckily, Wi-Fi innovation only happens, or at least a new standard is kind of ratified about every 3 to 5 years, I think, over the past couple of years, and that's great and all. But would you say that this latest one, because obviously I believe EnGenius Tech, we're going to start talking about some of the products that you offer, but not every business out there, and a lot of businesses just don't put it in importance on upgrading hardware, and just don't put it in importance on upgrading their network. It's seen as is it broken? No, then why bother? Talk about maybe being proactive. Like, is AX the one that you want to be proactive on to kind of future proof yourself, or where would you say is kind of the biggest leap when it comes to, I don't know if you want to gauge productivity or future proofing or what, but when should the threshold be for considering this is a good time to kind of upgrade?
So if you just made recent updates, I would not come to you, or I would not tell you to make an update. If you're operating on 11AC or 11AC Wave 2 specifically, I definitely would keep I would suggest that you stay within with that equipment for at least another 2-3 years. When you want to talk or think about using 11AX, such as the devices that we're offering, the immediate advancements that you will see definitely increased throughput, and you will see increased concurrent users or client devices. And the reason you'll see that within our devices is because they come with the newest and most advanced components, such as like memory, processor, flash, and like the Ethernet chips. Even the latest protocols are being rewritten and refreshed within the system. So with all that combined, you're improving the overall access points performance and capacity of the device today. I'll give you an example of that. We manufacture 11AC Wave 1 and 11AC Wave 2. Just with the advancements with the hardware with 11AC Wave 2, we saw about 30% increase in speed and capacity with those particular devices. So customers will see an immediate improvement in regards to the hardware itself, because it's newer hardware, it's more advanced hardware, so they'll see those advancements right away. Now, 802.11 clients, or 802.11ax clients, won't come into the picture until later 2019, and then that's when you can really utilize like OFDMA, the higher modulation, the BS coloring that you'll see, spatial reuse. There's multiple things that you'll start to be able to take advantage, where that high efficiency comes into place when those devices start to come onto the networks. And typically you would have to have all 11AX devices on your network to take full maximum advantage of those features. So immediately you're going to see the improvements of the hardware itself. Later down the road, your future-proofing, or it's a future-friendly type of device, where as these devices come on, you'll start to see and notice improvements over the network itself.
Right, yeah, and that actually falls well in line with I think we had Netgear on recently, and D-Link, and a couple of those other kind of more consumer focused companies, and they said about the same thing. They're starting to come out with the access points, and then the devices are going to come later. So if you have AC, don't feel bad. Everything's all good. But in the future, don't be surprised when you are going to start to really want for these, because Computer America is mainly a consumer oriented kind of show. So my understanding is more from the fact that homes, maybe you have a smart thermostat, maybe some smart appliances, maybe a couple of phones for the people living in a home, followed by computers, tablets, blah, blah, blah. It's not unreasonable to think that you could have upwards of 10 to 20 devices for a single, kind of household. So, but that's for the home. Talk about in the business world, because AX, like you said, going to be great for multiple devices. But have we seen the explosion like we have in the home? Have we seen that explosion of devices in the workplace?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we continue to talk about smart homes, smart offices, smart cities, smart hotels, all these things. And the reason they're becoming smarter and smarter and smarter is because of all the IoT devices that are being added within the network. So EnGenius, we have about 40 employees, so each of those employees probably have 2.5 to 3 devices each, not counting our thermostats and other devices. Lighting control are all connecting Wi-Fi. EnGenius really serves one of the areas that we serve is the Pro EV market, and they go into a lot of residential, specifically large cases. And so there's a lot of IoT devices in the residential home, as you're saying, in large homes, but also that trend is moving into the small businesses like law firms, for example, doctor offices, dentist offices, things of that nature. So there's a lot of information that's being sent, a lot of devices that are being connected. So yeah, there's definitely a trend in that area in the SMB space. We're probably, I think I read Gartner. There's 26 billion devices will be connected by 2020, somewhere around there, and that was supposedly the most accurate report in regards to where are the IoT devices being, how many IoT devices will be connected by 2020, which was, like I said, 26 billion, somewhere around there. So the growth is across all facets, so anywhere from consumer all the way up to enterprise level.
Well, if you ever wondered how the robots are going to get the upper hand, I guess we're going to put them there ourselves and pay for them. But I will say that, hey, there's no better spot to really, I guess, start to take a bite out of all the different products that you offer there at EnGenius. And why don't we talk about your solution? I believe, if I'm getting the name right, let's see, it's right here, the EMR 3000 and the EMD1. Let's just broad strokes and talk about this. Looks like your solution for either a large smart home or those office, those law offices and things like that you were talking about. And talk about the idea of a mesh network, because I think that also falls into it. Yeah.
So, the EMR 3000, you'll see coming from EnGenius, a product called the EMR 5000. That's we should talk about that particular product. That's actually a tri-band product. And what we mean by tri-band, it's a 3-radio device and each of the devices. So each of those devices that you set around your house are a tri-band type of device. So that is basically a meshing system that you would put in your home. So you're creating a smart home. You need a backbone for that smart home. What I mean by backbone, all the IoT devices, all the Wi-Fi devices in your home need to communicate to something to get out to the internet. And what we're saying is, with our device, the smart home Wi-Fi system. That system operates on meshing. And meshing is basically a very intelligent way of passing information wirelessly. So you can have one device that's plugged into a router, and that device is acting as basically a Wi-Fi router. That Wi-Fi router is now communicating with 2 of our other devices, either the EMD1 or another EMR 5000 in this case. And they are communicating wirelessly. They're just plugged in and they're communicating wirelessly. The thing about meshing, the really great thing about meshing, is that it's finding, if I'm connecting to the furthest point from the device that's wired into the network, that meshing device will find the quickest path back to the internet. So I'll be traveling on a path that's the fastest way back to the internet. So the end user experience is, it's faster, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If one of those devices were to go down, the devices are intelligent enough to understand that, one of these devices went down. I need to send my traffic to another device and change the path of where I was sending it before. So it's basically self-healing. So the end user's experience is that you shouldn't see a hiccup within the network within like a home scenario. But what EnGenius, what we do is in residential, and I would say average home is about 2,500 square feet. Anybody in a 2,500 square foot home or larger, we typically deploy access points. And access points, and we recommend them being wired. Coming from a Wi-Fi company and working with a lot of different scenarios, we've probably implemented thousands upon thousands of networks in different residential, hospitality, healthcare, all the way up into education. The biggest thing that you can do, the biggest improvement, is make sure the devices are wired, and such as an access point. The access point's being wired, and that's the best way to implement Wi-Fi within any application. But EnGenius really serves the small, medium-sized business arena.
No, I got you. And, we, of course, we've tried that ourselves. You do get that little bit of degradation when you go from wireless to wireless to wireless. So, having the multiple wired access followed by wireless on either multiple floors, because the signal can degrade through floors and other materials. Very, very, very good advice. And of course, looking at the EMR 5000, I just found it here. And just for some clarity, I guess there's like a Singapore arm as well.
EnGenius is we're a global brand, so we have multiple locations.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously in Costa Mesa, California, in Canada, we're in South America, we're in Europe, we're in Singapore, we're in Taiwan. So we have multiple remote business units around the world.
I got you. No, the first result for the EMR 5000 was just from that site, but I'm sure you have it somewhere on there as well. So let's go ahead and talk about, because that's a very, I guess, kind of introductory to some of your other products, because these products, there's going to be a lot of overlap where, maybe the EMR, 5000 is going to be something very similar to, that you might, you have a service here called InTurbo, if you want to talk about that. But essentially, it's just a matter of, do you need 3 access points or do you need 400? It's that kind of thing. So if you want to talk about, kind of scaling that up and how you help your customers navigate, kind of scaling up this, their networks.
Yeah, so it all in the SMB market where we deploy a lot of access points, it really comes down to doing, first and foremost, the most important thing to do for any system integrator or managed service provider that go into hotels and they want to deploy Wi-Fi is a site survey. And a site survey, they're basically walking around the property, understanding what kind of interference is already at the property, what the customer needs are, and based off of that information, and also using like a tool like our cloud tool, which is a Wi-Fi designing tool, with a combination of a site survey tool like our tool, and just interaction with the customer and understanding what their needs are. Mm-hmm. Based around all that information, you will get an understanding of what can be used within like a hotel or a small office. I hope I'm answering your question.
No. You actually nailed it. So obviously,
okay.
you obviously work hands-on, and then you would, of course, then determine what what hardware you would need. Very, very case by case. It's not like you're sending people out with here's 60 access points. Figure it out, dummy. It's going to be a much more hands-on kind of deal, which I definitely like. And just looking at your homepage, everyone, if you want to check this out, EnGeniusTech.com, link to it at Computer America. But one of the things that we're kind of looking at here is the fact that you give network management software. So, this is something that obviously can be very useful, but I think everyone kind of has a different way to handle management of their network. So talk about your software. Is it developed in-house, and what can people do with this?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you. We have all of our hardware devices, our access points, indoor, outdoor, even our switches. They can be managed. And what I mean by manage, it can be centrally managed. You can remote manage the device. You can locally manage the device. So there's different ways of managing a particular device. And in our case, EnGenius is really kind of set up as a hybrid. We can either use one of our PoE switches, and it will actually manage the device, or we can use our network management software that can manage the device. The network management software allows you to manage thousands of devices. You can manage one single access point, for example, or you can manage 5 access points, or 100 access points, or thousands of access points. You can actually manage access points across different subnets or different sites. So, for example, if I have an office in Costa Mesa, California, I also have an office in New York City, and in Chicago, and in Dallas. I can actually have small networks in each of those cities, and sitting at my desk in Costa Mesa, I can manage the network that's in my office, and I can manage the network that's in the Dallas office, and the New York office, and the Chicago office, and I can do that using EasyMaster. And EasyMaster is our network management software. EasyMaster allows you to be very, very flexible in your deployment. So you can start with 1, 2, 3, 4 devices with one site, and you can actually grow, and you can scale that up, and you can actually start to add other sites or other networks within EasyMaster. So now you can manage all these networks. What network management does for our customers that use it is it allows you to look at multiple networks at a very, very high level. And one of the biggest purposes is to make sure that your network is running efficiently. And so it allows you to look at a very, very high level dashboard and understand, okay, things are working properly, everything is good. But if there's a problem, I can identify the problem, and I can start at a very, very high level, and I can start to drill down and go into a granular troubleshooting mindset and understand where the problem is. So as an example, I'm sitting in California. I have those networks in New York, Chicago, and Dallas, and there's a problem in New York. I don't know what the problem is, but somebody's reporting the problem, or I received an email alert from my network management system telling me that there's a problem in New York. I can actually look at all my networks. I can look at specifically New York. I can drill down into New York. I can understand the number of access points deployed within the network, their location. I can understand where they're located, physically located. I can actually dive into the actual access point itself and then understand how many users are on that access point. What is the client's signal strength? Do they have a good connection? Do they have a bad connection? Are they trying to roam? I can understand at a very granular level if there's an actual problem there. I can actually do a remote reboot of a particular access point if I want to. So network management software, specifically EasyMaster, in our case, you can start at a high level and granularly go into a troubleshooting mindset on a particular site, a particular device, a particular user if you wanted to.
Right. And Bryan, I'm going to ask this next question, although we're about to head into break, so I might need to cut you off.
Sure.
So, and hopefully you don't mind staying with us past the break.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Perfect. Yeah, so we're going to start this question, and actually, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to let you think over the break because we're going to go in about a minute. But all this is great, seeing troubleshooting problems, things like that. But when we come back, if you wouldn't mind talking about if there's any kind of baked-in security, or obviously we have talked a lot over the past couple of years about advanced persistent threats, and the idea that people gain access to your network and they go kind of under the radar or undetected, and they continuously withdraw data from your data stream. When we come back, would you mind talking about some of the security features EnGenius has employed?
Yeah, I'll try to cover that for you.
Yeah, sure. Great. So everyone, stay tuned. We'll be right back. The music should start right about Now, there we go. And yeah, so everyone, we are talking to Mr. Mr. Bryan Slayman. He is the product line manager for EnGenius Tech, doing a great job so far of, really a very expansive product line. But we are finally getting a grip on it. Everyone, stay tuned. More computer and technology news, as well as more interview right after this. Everyone, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour. And by the way, if you missed any part of today's show, feel free to check us out wherever podcasts are heard. And it's simply today's show in its entirety at your convenience. So, wherever podcasts are downloaded from, you can check it out. And today on the show, we have been talking with EnGenius Tech. It's been all about wireless solutions and a lot of great information. So obviously, I want to thank Bryan Slayman for continuing on with us. And Bryan, just to lead you back in, right before the break, I had long-windedly asked you about security, because that's something that I remember attending CES years ago, and the idea of the Internet of Things was just getting off the ground. And, security just wasn't a priority from anyone's standpoint. Like, it seemed like the device manufacturer said that we put a basic password in. More security is going to be done by the end user. The wireless device, like the routers and the modems and those people, they said that we have basic ones, and the end user is going to have to configure these to be more secure. But now I think everyone is kind of trying to take security into their own hands. So talk about what EnGenius does.
Yeah, so EnGenius, we try to file just best practices. Right now, as you probably heard about the WPA2 crack that happened. It was several months ago.
That one was fun, where billions of devices were suddenly left out in the open. Yeah.
Yeah. So we felt that too. So WPA2, it was cracked. It was basically man-in-the-middle kind of scenario where they're stealing information, or they're stealing the key and cracking WPA2 that way. Right now, what our best practices are, until we get a newer Wi-Fi security protection, we're using WPA2, AES, specifically enterprise, and that enables a lot of different things in regards to encryption. But with our later products that we just launched actually last week is our 802.11ax access points will come with WPA3. Now, WPA3 is based around the WPA2 crack, so it's supposed to have improved encryption, actually easier and better way to connect securely your IoT devices. So that's supposed to be a major improvement, and that's something that we will have in our existing product line and our new product line that we're launching. But other things that we try to do, so that will be available obviously as new products come out, specifically the 802.11ax products that are coming out. But some of the best practices that we implement are we want our customers to have a guest network in place, and basically guest networks are basically segmenting the traffic from your internal staff traffic and your guests, the people that are walking in and every day. And like a hotel is a prime example. When you walk into a hotel, you're actually logging into their guest network, and their staff is on a totally different network. So we definitely apply that into a lot of the applications that we work in. Specifically, we make sure those two networks are on two different networks using VLAN tagging. So we'll set up on different VLANs, so they're virtual LANs that the internal staff is on and the guest network that what they're on. So it's really segmenting the traffic in itself. So that's another thing that we implement. And then we always EnGenius doesn't manufacture firewall devices, but we do recommend multiple third-party firewalls to be in place too. So that would be another thing that I would probably consider in regards to security.
No, obviously a lot of security out there really does just evolve around best practices. Just do the obvious or do what everyone says, and you're going to be a much safer entity as compared to, and in my experience, a lot of others who don't do the basics. So it's kind of like that bear scenario. All you have to do is just be faster than your friend. You don't have to be faster than the bear. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and same thing there. So a couple times there, you mentioned kind of what's coming in the future. Why don't we talk about future products, and then and then we'll have last comments. But I know that we already mentioned I believe the EMR 5000. But what's new or what's coming up the road for EnGenius?
Yeah, so great. So I appreciate that. So we just launched Thursday new 11ax access points. So what we're basically doing is we're taking it's basically 11ax solutions for enterprise-minded SMBs. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create greater capacities for those SMBs, stronger connections with those SMBs, and actually giving them the future capabilities of what's coming in later this year, or later in 2019, I should say. We've launched two new products, and I won't give you the part numbers because it's just a long list of numbers that you probably nobody's going to understand, but they're two access points. These devices allow advancements within our customers' current network. They don't have to go out and buy upgraded switching devices to upgrade their network whatsoever. They can take these devices and implement them in their current structure. What we've done, well, specifically in the SMB networking world, it's becoming highly saturated with wireless devices, and we've talked about that, client devices, IoT devices. And so everyone is really looking for a way to get an edge up on that demand. There's more and more demand on the network from all these client devices, and so they're looking for that edge. EnGenius is providing that edge with this particular solution. We're taking basically 11ax, the 11ax solution that was designed for high capacity demands of enterprise networks. And we're taking that technology, that cutting edge technology and features, and we're putting it within reach of forward-thinking SMB customers. specifically the EWS 357 AP, which is one of our part numbers, that really fast tracks SMBs to take advantage of some of those most sophisticated Wi-Fi technology that is being offered today or will be offered today. So those early adopters don't have to wait to take advantage of an enterprise-level technology or feature. They can take advantage of it now, which we'll be delivering. I say now, but we'll be delivering in January.
Perfect. And of course, we're, kind of if anyone out there, when you check out the video portion, we are cycling through your products, kind of as we talk. But I gotta say, like, I don't know what's gotten into you guys who make these, these Wi-Fi access points and things like that. But I guess design has just said, you know what? Whatever. People want more antennas. People don't care how these things look. Just make them work really, really well. And I gotta say, the antennas are getting crazy. So yeah, and again, that's just a personal observation. So obviously, that's there.
Yeah. I'm looking at the one that you just pulled up is our 4x4 Wave 2 access point, and there's actually two versions. There's that version, and then there's an internal antenna version. So if you don't like that look, you can get the internal antenna version, which is a little bit cleaner looking. But when you put the antennas on the outside of the form factor, you do actually see a slight improvement in reception. So you do see an improvement, although it can be ugly. But they do still perform well. I don't disagree with what you're saying, though.
Yeah. And by the way, just had a question in the chat room. I mean, obviously, some of these are going to be woefully more than an average household would need. But but I mean, some of your products here. Let's see. I believe he was talking about the. He was talking about the range extenders and things like that. I mean, are some of these products, maybe a small business that has worked itself up from, let's say, a home setting. Are there any kind of like step ups from just basic consumer or prosumer up to just before medium business or small business?
Yeah, I mean we run into that all the time. So I mean, small business, even small hotels, when hotels really started to implement Wi-Fi into their systems, they would start with a consumer type router, a single router for their whole hotel. Now we're talking about a small hotel of maybe a 250 room hotel, but they were putting these consumer type devices into these hotels, and they're saying, "Oh, we provide Wi-Fi, and you have free Wi-Fi." And but you would only have you would only be able to connect in the lobby, for example, right? So we've seen this across the board with a lot of the different verticals. They want to get Wi-Fi into their building for multiple reasons, but now they're upgrading to more. When I say business class, I mean the features within the access point themselves. There's a lot of things that you can do within these access points. You can change the modes, for example. You can change the output power of the radio, so you can have longer distances, shorter distances. You can change things like RSSI threshold, where you can dictate the client device when it can, or you can disconnect the client automatically if you want to. So there's a lot of different things. So we're seeing a lot of small businesses, even in residential space, because of the smart home kind of movement, putting in more business class type access points. EnGenius has been at the forefront of this for some time now, because of our price point. I mentioned at the beginning that we have a very aggressive performance per price ratio. So we have a lot of do-it-yourselfers put our access points within their homes and cover their homes with our Wi-Fi systems. Our access points are very intuitive in regards to how to set them up. They're very easy to do. You can get into a little trouble the more devices that you add within your home. So if you have 3 access points, for example, in your home, it gets a little more complicated, and you also have to keep in mind that your client devices actually cause a lot of interference, and your neighbors also cause a lot of interference. So that's another thing that
and just real quick, I believe that's also one of the benefits. We were talking with one of our correspondents of 802.11ax or Wi-Fi 6. I'm going to keep saying both just until one of them sticks. But
I've done the same. So
yeah. So, but like that's one of the benefits of 802.11ax is that it in fact does handle, think of like maybe an apartment complex. You may be sitting in your apartment and trying to connect to your Wi-Fi, but you will see, 15 other Wi-Fi signals. All those can, kind of degrade your signal altogether. That also is, kind of getting a little bit of help with the new standard, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you still have to deploy best practices at the end of the day. You always will have to do that. We want to put in access points that solve the problems for ourselves, and we are getting closer and closer to that. There's still best practices, but 802.11ax will help in those scenarios.
Okay.
Because of the new features that they're adding. But we also have to keep in mind that a lot of the 802.11ax client devices are coming out later. So the major improvement, like I said before, was in the hardware components that we're using on the devices themselves. But eventually, yes, it will be a big benefit because of the new features that they do have within AX.
So the last point or the last part of EnGenius that I wanted to bring up, because this is something that, for a long time we've heard of voice over IP and, the telephone altogether, since we all now have cell phones that are making it harder to have kids, but we all have one right there in our pocket. I mean, you do offer a kind of a phone system, and I find that obviously in certain fields it's going to be super important. But talk about any advancement there or what's new. You still offer phones. That's different.
We do, yeah, and that's where we started. I mean, that is where we started. So it's basically a cordless phone. It's a 900 megahertz phone, and it's really basic. So if you have an existing in the SMB space, not necessarily in the residential space, we'll do a lot of large ranches, tree farms. A lot of farming communities use this particular device. So I guess I could say that in that in regards to residential, that's where you would find it. The phone basically plugs into, there's multiple versions, but you can plug into an analog port or an Ethernet port, depending on if you're using a SIP-based phone system that we have or an analog phone system that we have. A majority of our customers use the analog system. The analog system plugs into an existing PBX system that somebody may have, and it's acting as an extension of the PBX system. The really cool thing about this particular phone is the range of the phone itself. Just to throw out numbers, and these are, I'll have to say, these are not marketing numbers, these are actual numbers. So in an outdoor space, you can get about 3,000 acres of coverage.
Wow.
In an indoor space, you can get 250,000 square feet within indoors. So imagine 2 Home Depots together. We can cover that indoor space. And when you talk about vertical penetration through ceilings and floors, 12 floors of penetration through floors. So the range is ridiculous. And then we have other things that you can use to better the range, like removable antennas, outdoor antennas. So there's multiple things that you can add to improve the range even more. The other thing is that there's a base system that plugs into the PBX system, and that base communicates with handsets. Those handsets actually can take calls and make calls, which is not a big deal, right? It's an extension of your PBX system.
Right.
But the handsets also work as a walkie-talkie. So now I have the phone capabilities. I can take a call, I can make a call, I can transfer a call, I can sit on a conference call. But I can walkie-talkie to one other handset. I can walkie-talkie to 5 other handsets. I can walkie-talkie to or broadcast, I should say, not walkie-talkie, but I can broadcast up to 90 handsets if I want to from that base system. The handsets, I should say, also work independently from the base itself. So you can actually take 2 handsets and travel on a road trip and still communicate with one another with those handsets at the same type of distances that I just talked about. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I used to hold down a job that used walkie-talkies, and we used the ones that were, I guess, way back in the 80s and 90s when they first got popular, and those things were heavy, clunky. They really couldn't do much other than just switch between, maybe a dozen channels and hold the button and speak. These look more, I guess, in line with a phone, and they have that capability as well. So good to see that, you didn't just take what worked in the first time and said, why bother innovating? You guys have definitely been working on this.
It's actually gaining popularity again.
Really? That's
in the hospitality market, specifically in the MDU space. Multi-dwelling units like apartment complex for the staff, student housing. Same thing with assisted living. That's a big market for us. Assisted living for the nurse staff, for the doctor staff. So it is starting to gain popularity again, which is interesting. Now we're selling Wi-Fi networking products and also these 900 megahertz phones too. So that's very interesting.
And at the same time though, I can see where maybe businesses would find a full-fledged smartphone just too distracting for people to kind of use at the same time. But yeah, there you go. And of course, everyone out there, if you want to check more out, you can see it at your website. Bryan, I will let you have the last word. Is there anything we missed? And if so, let's talk about it. If not, where can people go to find more information?
Sure. Yeah. So the last thing I would probably say, the biggest thing is, the networking world is becoming really highly saturated with all these wireless devices that we're talking about. And EnGenius is offering a new product that we just launched, which is based around 802.11ax technology, which was really meant to go into enterprise solutions. And so we're taking that technology that was supposed to go into enterprise solutions, and we're really positioning it and putting it in the hands of the smaller, medium-sized businesses. So that is the big news that we were just talking about last week, and we just did a big release on that. And so that's something that a lot of people can take a look at on our website. You can find that information on www.engeniustech.com. And I should mention the retail price of those particular devices. Sure. The what we call is the 2x2 antenna, which is an access point, is for more general use. It retails for $189, and then the more high capacity usage access point is MSRP is $289. So very aggressive price point for the latest and greatest technology for the SMB market.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, heck, some of the prosumer ones are like twice as much as that, and you're able to fit obviously something that is going to serve, that much of a stressful market. Very, very aggressive price points. I can definitely say that. So yeah, and we found those here. We'll include links to those in the show notes as well. And Bryan, I apologize for taking more of your time, but you gave us a lot of good information, and thank you for coming on Computer America.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody at Computer America. Thank you.
Our pleasure. And look forward to having you back. And hey, good luck out there. It's and by the way, I should have said this way earlier. I hope you and all of your staff and offices are okay out there in California. It's been crazy out there.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Luckily, we're about 2 hours away from the fires, but yeah, we do appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that.
Yeah, no problem. So hey, Bryan, until next time, have a great day. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
All right, everyone, and there he goes. Yeah, and of course, you're right. Thank you for giving us the interview, EnGenius, and look forward to having you guys back on. But now that leaves us with about 5 minutes to do computer and technology news. Why don't we go ahead and just hit the highlights? So today, actually, I should probably play the tone and then do computer and technology news. So everyone, here we go. Wait. Uh-oh. No! What the? Wait. There we go. Hey, software freezes. What are you going to do? Computer technology news brought to you by Computer America. Why don't we go ahead and get started? So, luckily, we only lined up about 15 stories. So, yeah, we're going to get through a lot of this. Let's start with the first one and probably the biggest news. kind of rubs me the wrong way personally. Whether or not it rubs y'all the wrong way, feel free to let me know. But I've had this thing with Amazon. They like to pit state to state, economy versus economy against one another so that they themselves always end up on top. And now we have Amazon's headquarters 2, HQ2, as it's more affectionately known, will be split. Yeah, so I guess HQ 1.5 and 1.5 or 1 and 1, but will be split between New York City and Arlington, Virginia. Yeah, check that out. It's now split between two, and they said that the New York City site is coming to Long Island City and will span about 4 million square feet and make room for about 25,000 new jobs. Now, I don't know right off the top of my head. I'm not a New York native, and unfortunately, I couldn't tell you exactly where on Long Island City that would be. But if you thought traffic in New York was bad before, hey, why don't we go ahead and throw a couple tens of thousands of new people there? And although they could hire from the local job pool, but hey, we'll see. Both sides, and by the way, the other one coming to Arlington's National Landing will get a similar amount of space and create the same number of jobs. So 25,000 in each place. There you go. Both sites will have the option to expanding to 8 million square feet in the future, and Amazon says each will bring about a $2.5 billion investment to their regions. $2.5 billion. That is a very that is a very important number to keep in mind, because for the honor of being the site of Amazon's new headquarters, both of these, I believe, they combined or at least they announced a combined tax cut or benefit, a tax benefit to Amazon to, lure them there, which obviously worked. The tax break, I think, worked out to about I think it was like $1 billion $2 billion combined to bring that there. So about $5 billion between the two cities, and you can knock off $2 billion right there, right off the bat. So, hey, if you want to talk big numbers, Amazon sure as heck knows how they are bringing their value to these economies. And they said Amazon's original Seattle location brought in an additional $38 billion to the city's economy, which is not small. That's a huge amount of money. Really probably put Seattle on the map for, obviously Microsoft probably had something to say about it as well, but it certainly helped Seattle stay relevant. And any other city out there that wanted to, see that influx of cash was willing to shell out, those tax benefits. Now, obviously, they said that, other places were in the running, such as Dallas, but as we said, it landed on Arlington, Virginia, and New York City. Obviously, New York. Hopefully this is the end of that saga. It was very frustrating to see everyone bend over backwards for a company that is, just short of Apple, one of the highest valued companies on the market. And for them to be, running around getting tax relief left and right just seemed kind of weird, that obviously the taxpayers would be footing a large percentage of the bill. And they are, for a $5 billion investment, and the taxpayers have to cough up $2 billion themselves. That's, let's hope that these pan out, and let's hope Amazon continues to run the world, because, hey, it is what it is. So, I guess it's not the salsa. That's right. So, obviously, check that out there. Some of the other stories we're just not going to be able to get to because that one story took up the rest of our time. There's the music. More include YouTube CEO calls the EU's proposed copyright regulation financially impossible. So we'll talk about that tomorrow if we have time. We have a story about Faraday Future and how Faraday Future unfortunately was not able to pull off a Tesla. More include some antique Alexa phones. Those are always cute. You can check them out. And Apple's T2 chips will block third-party repairs of new devices. If you thought the right to repair was over, no, it's just getting started. Everyone, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat room, listening at home, listening in the car, wherever you happen to, listening to us on the IRN network. Hey, join us here tomorrow, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, as we have another Computer America. Let's see, tomorrow we have a couple of correspondents this week. Tomorrow, Sandy Berger. Hey, odds are, I won't lie, probably about smart speakers and smart devices. Going to want to check that out. And then the day after that, we will have our Linux show. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.